Amendment Bill introduction.
That bill is set down for first reading. The House now comes to questions for oral answer, and the first question stands in the name of the Honourable Dr. Nick Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. What steps has the government taken to responsibly manage its finances and stop the increase in public debt?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, of course, the government is committed to attaining surpluses because that will stop the rise in public debt. But it is alongside that, we also want to achieve a competitive economy and better public services, because in the long run, better public services will give us lower costs, and a competitive economy will give us more revenue, more jobs and more growth.
The Honourable Dr. Nick Smith.
Why is it so important for New Zealand to get back into surplus and to stop further rises in New Zealand's level of public debt?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, there's a number of things this country needs to achieve. The most important is a competitive economy, because that is what will help us to lift incomes by selling more products to the rest of the world at higher value. Alongside that, we need to manage our risks, and one of those risks are the very high levels of national debt, that is, adding together public and private debt. So it's important to get back to surplus so the government can make its contribution to reducing our vulnerabilities by preventing further rise in government debt.
The Honourable Dr. Nick Smith.
Mr. Speaker, to the Minister, how has the government's decision in 2009 to suspend payments to the New Zealand Superannuation Fund helped New Zealand got on top of its level of public debt?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, that decision in 2009 means that we don't have to borrow roughly $2 billion a year more from nervous overseas lenders to invest into volatile world share markets. We made it clear at the time we will resume contributions to the super fund when we return to a sufficiently large surplus, and we no longer have to borrow money to add to our fast rising debt. I'm pleased that the opposition now agree with this policy.
The Honourable David Parker.
Is the best way to reduce the government deficit and debt to grow the economy? And if so, why has National not grown the economy?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the economy has grown in 10 of the last 11 quarters, and over the next 12 months is likely to grow faster than Europe, the UK, the US, Canada, and at similar growth rates to Australia. But I just want to clear up one misconception for the member. Governments don't grow economies. It's people and businesses who grow economies, and we want to make sure they can make positive decisions about new investment and new jobs.
The Honourable Dr. Nick Smith.
To the Minister, what reports has the Minister seen setting out contrary views over government contributions to New Zealand Superannuation Fund?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, there's been a number of reports, and I'll just use some of these quotes. Deferrals were a big mistake and will leave superannuitants much worse on in the future. Secondly, quote, what is the logic behind cutting contributions? The answer is there isn't any. Those came from Labor finance spokesman. And as recently as last week, Trevor Mallard was criticising the government for not putting money into the Cullen Fund. I'm pleased his leader made a sensible decision. It would be good if he told his finance team that he'd made it.
The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Does the Minister think that either he or the Prime Minister, or for that matter the Cabinet, acted responsibly in allowing the massive $100 million blowout of the underwriting costs of South Canterbury Finance?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, I don't agree with the member's description, but I do believe the government acted responsibly.
Question number 2, David Shearer, the Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr.